Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. A'udhu billahi shaitanir rajim. May God protect us from the cursed one and ignorance. Ihdina siratal mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. All right. Today there's a lot on my mind. I had 3 titles for talks, but I decided to go with this one. Hopefully I'll remember this throughout the talk, but one thing I want to do for you is explain the prototype, excuse me, to first explain and dive into the question, is this world the final destination or a stepping stone? The second thing I want to do is, in some sense, explain how driving, like how the system of driving that we have all over the planet, right, is a prototype for world peace. This is on itself its own episode. If I have time, I'll get to this. And the third thing I wanted to explain in regards to the distinction of, in some sense, I would say a difference between, I guess, religious, see, ultimately it's human beings selecting values to in some sense shape their reality, but I wanted to speak about the difference of 2 classes of people. Okay, anyways, I'll do the best I can here. All praise to the system admin. I am not just speaking in front of the world. I am speaking in front of that which created it, and may this lecture be worthy, and may God forgive us. Rabbi Firli, which means God forgive me. May God forgive us for the mistakes we're conscious of and the mistakes we're not. Because we all deep down know that the human being is imperfect, and even if it has a standard of perfection, what is that standard of perfection limited to? That means, could human perfection have limitation? Yes. Anyways, we'll get to that. So, unlike, I guess, maybe traditional speakers, to give you a sense of who I am and who you're listening to someone who has a cinematic experience of their intelligence. It wasn't always like this, but I do now. So when I talk about things, I am actually vocalizing films behind my eyes, my inner realms. Anyways, there is something I want to read for you today, and you got to keep in mind that you're listening to someone who is Muslim, but you're also listening to someone who, before they became Muslim, like truly, they were in some sense like somebody completely trying to reach the edge of the realities that humans have access to in regards to ideological systems that actually possess individuals. Okay, it's very difficult to say whether a human being acting, it's as if, is that human possessed by an idea? And how do I say it? It's as if the differentiation between a demon possessing another entity possessing another entity, and an ideological entity possessing an entity. Okay. Anyways, or this world is a stage. of the stages, or it's as if one of main event. Okay, so I'm pretty much saying, yo, human beings on Earth, have you wondered if this world is the main event or if there is something beyond this? And how would we know this? And how would we even acknowledge such a knowing in human systems? One thing I have a habit of doing, I realized I was doing this unconsciously, but the way I have, in some sense, access to knowing things in regards to micro and macro scale, it's simply due to the fractal nature of reality. Now that sentence has a specific meaning. It means if I'm wondering about what the human species is doing, if that's like too complex of a question to answer, I render it, I go revert to another simpler form of that question. What is a human being doing? Like right now, I can't know what 8 billion human beings are doing today. Like right now. Okay, probably most of them are asleep. Literally and unliterally, you know? But the thing is, I'm saying that I can't figure, it's like I can't truly accurately observe the movements of my species, but I can accurately observe the movements of myself, which is a member of this species. Do you see that? So the approach I'm taking is that I'm like, yo, man, you see, I is way more than you. You feel that you begin understanding this reality. But if you are just a being, it's as if you've been given a world, yet you are content with your little view on it. Anyways, where am I going with this? Not to judge you. Nobody can judge you because nobody knows you like you, except the system admin that knows you better than you. You see, it's all about whether you as a human being select the presence, like how intelligence is present for you. Me as a human being, I'll be honest, when I was spiritual before I was religious, it wasn't that I still saw this world as a finale. It's not like I was like, yo, it's here and I have to understand here in an enlightened way, so I'm in the right way of being here. I had this approach, but it's not. Later on, I realized, like, what have I been doing? You know what it is? It's like somebody who says they're hungry. It's like somebody who, with their left hand, they're like, can I have an apple? And then with their right hand, they give themselves the apple. And then they're like, wait a minute, though, did I get an apple from someone or did I give myself an apple? Most human beings have given themselves an apple, meaning that they have chosen a way to see meaning here. You're going based on your ego code. The language I use, people are like, this. They're like, yo, speak of physics. I'll be like, okay, I got to use computer programming terms for the modern reality because it's the same. You see, language is pointing to the reality of the existence we're experiencing. And there could be simulations that align with that reality and simulations that don't. And I'll be honest, like recently I saw a video where it was like it was like, I believe it was shout out to Jubilee or something. It was like this YouTube channel where they had brought like these Satanists and they had brought these people from the major religions to kind of debate and like talk to each other. And a part of me was like, man, I wish I was there, representing the religious side, right? But I didn't see the full video, but I saw like somewhat of it, okay? And it made me like, yo, man, it's obvious. It's obvious. It's like, let humans speak. Let the human dance in front of you. But why it's dancing is in some sense, like the intention becomes obvious. If you are a human, that deep down, your core belief is like, yo, it's just this, okay? Then your intention aligns to value, your psyche, the way you express yourself as a signal. This is what youth don't understand. But just people naturally do as they grow older. that every person, entity you see is giving a signal. And that's what I mean by a signal. That means if you see someone and you're like, yo, man, that person had such class. Do you know? Do you know? That's like, in some sense, how do I say it? That person giving off their signal and you interpreting their signal that way. Anyways, this goes deeper because the main point is that your behavior is different, your morality, your ethics, everything is different if you think that this place is it. Like this is the final stop. Like this is not the lobby of the hotel, this is the hotel room, right? Right? But this world for religious people, and I would say people who notice how it moves, they realize it's like an exam room. Do you understand? Like, I don't know, I had the privilege of this experience in Canadian University. Okay, but you all go into one exam room with tables. Do you understand? And you sit there, and in a militaristic, like for the first time in their life, teachers feel like military commanders, you know? And they, in some sense, like they're, everything precision, spaced out, and you're being tested on you're being tested on your understanding of the whole thing, every word that. Some level, the human being needs to tell itself a story because I'm that way. That means because we're creatures that we communicate, communication is about content. So, for example, when somebody comes and asks you who you are, you know, like in some sense, you're giving them content. It's just like how you would imagine, for example, like a book. It's like we're like this unknown novel character in a novel, and when people ask us who we are, it's as if we are, in some sense, giving them a preview of the novel. Okay, but what the human being is a complexity of how attention is present, and where do limitations arise, and where do we notice where the edge of the limitation is. Because what spirituality is trying to find the edge of reality. What religion is you found the edge of reality. Now you're having a relationship with it. For me, I'm sorry to say this might be my ignorance or whatever, but I see it truly this way, that you're telling me you have 8 billion human beings in a place, let's call it Earth, okay? We think it's a rock in the middle of nowhere, but whatever, let's call it a place, right? 8 billion beings are in a place, and what is their relationship with where they are? That's welcome to the mystery of humanity, guys. That's it. What is the relationship of intelligence within a very intelligent event? Within somewhere where mystery stares at us, behind every corner of limitation. You see, the moment has to be moved. It's being moved prior to me. The system's being administered. But I, as a human being, can administer that which I am conscious of. Do you understand? To me, waking up every day, it's as if I'm like, oh my God, I've logged into this video game again where there is all this content. It's just data, information processing, right? And the information processing leads to decisions. The decisions lead to an outcome. And then at the end of the day, you're like, okay, what artwork did I draw my whole life, even, you may think? To me, I reached a point where, I'll be honest, I have the rare skill of being able to get angry and blame myself all the time. It's a rare skill. It's become subconscious even. It's as if when I was a kid, I think I blamed myself for a lot of things, and at some point I was like, okay, I'll blame myself for everything. Do you know? myself made me curious, as if what is myself? Where do I extract my value? Do I get my value from other people's, like, patting me on the back? Do I treat right? Knowledge, like, okay, whatever, I know. Or should I be fascinated by the greater games we're here to play? Every human being you see in 2025 is not advanced, because what we're caring for is not an advanced dimension. It is the personalized. It is how we've personalized it. Do you know? And I'll tell you, human reality is fragile. Like, people don't understand. You could bring the toughest person in front of me from 2025, not an old person, let's say a person in their 30s, tough. The toughest, more hardcore, like when people see this being, they're like, is this guy a fucking, like, stone column? Like, like, you bring the toughest person and I'll be like, buddy, our ancestors would chew you. What I mean by that is that the intensity of what we have lived through and where we are, we're kind of strangely closer to the promised land. What I mean by that is that in 2025, you don't have the difficulty of, like, having a sword connected to your belt all the time. You don't have the difficulty of wars breaking out and men running to battle. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that reality is no longer upon us. However, the intensity of that reality has now shifted to the inner psychological domains of man. Do you understand? That means people right now can speak in way more tough ways than how people today. The human archive. What does that mean? So, what advanced I just view in this life is the system admin. Do you understand? That means, imagine you open your eyes, you're in somebody's house. You're a guest, and there's other guests too. You're in, like, some house party. The most advanced individual in that house party is the owner of the house. The most other advanced individuals are those who know the owner of the house. Now you find yourself, without even realizing it, having been invited to an important party. Now, some people in the party are like, yo, man, there is no owner of this house. This is everybody's house. It's because they haven't met the owner. When you realize, okay, my simple mind saw owner to a house. Owner administers house. Okay, what if the world is a house? And then philosophers and scholars have been tormented by this idea. Oh my God, what if we're in a simulation? The religions obviously said we were in them, but what if we are, though? Or what if the modern academic mind has to just fathom with the notion that what it thinks is not real is actually not real? It's a matter of being like, how much do you trust human information? You know what I mean? I've had this experience in this lifetime. I've had it, like, I think maybe 3 or 4 times, where I've gone to someone and I asked them, hey man, do you know the address to this place? And in a few seconds, I've been like, okay, thank you, bye. In the sense that by the time that person tries to, it's like the engine of a motorboat. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like one of those old school engines. Like, okay, answer, man, answer. And the person. I think super intelligent computers are gonna be like, but what do I do with metal when we're in a simulation? Millionaire. And the most powerful human that has ever lived first I can ask, excuse me, is this room to the main event? No? Okay. See, if this world is a stepping stone, I think it's about like those people, like to me, this might sound bizarre, okay? You might think this might be one of the most controversial things I've ever said, but it's fascinated me too much not to say it. That to me, an advanced being is not somebody that is born and lives a long life. I mean, I'm saying it's not necessarily that, like growing old and all of that. To me, think of it this way. When you go to the bank, okay, you go there just to do your actions and then you leave immediately. Do you understand? You know what you want to do, you go do it, and then you leave. But the issue with the lifetimes on earth is that it's like, this is where it's difficult, that it's like, what is the work that we're here to do? What are we being tested on if it is a test? Like, do you understand? They're like, man, I thought, I was judging myself. My sibling was judging me. My family was judging me. My friends were judging me. My colleagues were judging me. I thought my species was judging me. I even thought squirrels and, birds judging me. I thought the sky was judging me, in regards to why I haven't built sky cities yet, you know. And then I was like, forget everything in the dunya, in the world, and for a moment, be true. And in that true moment, I can tell you, I felt a version of myself that was too honest to suffer. You see, this might be a bizarre statement, but any person consciously claiming they're suffering, you are dishonest. The dishonest suffer. It's dishonesty. Because if you were honest, you would be like, okay, the burden of my awareness is in my own control. But the burden of, like, how do I say it? It's like you have a value to yourself right now. You have a value to your species right now. But we're not living in that era where people, what do you call it? We're not living in that era where people are like, yeah, my species, It's like, no alien's gonna mess up my species, we need that kind of like evolutionary ego, but we're not there yet. Right now, people are like, I don't know who you are, that's the vibe. Rather than being like, okay, forget how we our individual preferences, who thought those were important. It's where is the species going to. Do you understand? I am telling you, every one of you human beings should be feeling right now that you are a commanding officer of your species. You're a general. Imagine you're in charge of it, like a startup. Okay? I'm telling you that you're not responsible for your species because you have not participated in those events that will happen in the future, okay? But you can still have honor for it. That means if an alien comes down to Earth and let's say somehow they can speak a language we understand and they're like, look at these pesky humans. I'd be like, what did this thing just say about my species? And I'd be like, listen up, you tub of lard. It's like, yo, guys, it's like, I'll imagine one human being coming to humanity. It's like, yo, man, these aliens are talking shit about us. What do we do? We re-clarify because we're intelligent beings. We reset the moment. To me, the smartest people have an ability to reset conflicts. I've seen them. I've seen humans that have that ability. And all that I'm asking you is to reset your value for your species and to be fascinated by the depth of the world you're in, and what mystery means is where I don't know lives. That's what mystery is. Right now, for example, let's say you don't know what I look like. Well, guess what? That's in the domain of, mystery, you know? But the point is, what is the most important thing to know in this life? And as much as, anybody appreciates attention, it's that where should your attention ultimately go? That means, I think every I should say it this way, the greatest eyes that look upon the human race are those that find compassion for it. Why? Because it's like a silly, immature child, okay, managing a company that has been in the making for like years. You think like even right now somebody says like, yo man, that human being, the greatest leader human beings have in 2025, I'll be like, that's a newborn compared to what the burden and the weight of what they're carrying. They would say heavy is the crown. Philosophically speaking, it's heavy because of the symbol that has taken that, because of how many human beings have built it, right? For me, like right now, I'm somebody talking about advanced civilizations, the future, and the system admin. Okay, not a lot of people I think are talking about it like how I am. Okay, but in the future there will come, right? And it will be like, okay, Mr. Within was the first guy, then the second guy, then the third guy. And when I say, and it could be anybody, the whole point of it is when you become passionate about your future, and yet when you realize your future you are linked with the destiny of your species, you begin caring for that destiny. Now the question goes deeper because we have the system admin. The system admin was the most fascinating intellectual discovery of my lifetime. It's the most important thing. That means if before, how would I say it, I acknowledge God. See, the difference was like I was born in Iran. Okay, Iran is a theocratical society, the Shia denomination of Islam. Okay, like the descendants of the followers of Imam Ali. Okay, the nephew of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay, I was raised in that, like that was where I kind of like created an account on Earth. Okay, I logged into reality like first time there. Okay, and even though I was in a religious environment, even though I had religious grandparents, I had, in my view, a more of a spiritual, cinematic, built for a superhero vision of like spirituality. Okay, but what made me realize there is a system admin, it was as if the presence of it was not enough. It was the realization, it was like accepting my lament. It was from a very low point in my life, not externally, internally, in the sense that I had come to this stasis, this bizarre like life crisis, where I was like, oh my God, the body has limitations in regards to what it can do. And that means the body can do anything, any different kind of movement. And the mind has an ability to infinitely look at a moment from infinite angles. That means there's infinite viewpoints. That means you can give ChatGPT and it could create endless variations of ideological systems. You understand? So then I reached a point where I was like, okay, you've put infinity as a multiple choice for me, right? And then I have to answer this question before this life. It was as if my mind, not out of lack, but out of an incredible abundance of realizing it could look at something in so many different ways, reached a sort of hopelessness of what do I choose out of infinity? And I went and I descended into despair. You don't understand the despair that descended upon me. It was as if, like, how in Hara, excuse me, what's the name? I forget the exact name. But in Bushido, Hagakure, I think. In Bushido, which samurai actually followed, written by Yamamoto Tsunemoto, he says the first thing that a samurai does in some sense is to in his own mind accept that he is dead. Then when you go fight somebody, it's as if there's nobody there to die anymore. Okay, and in that dissension of my own psyche, through the realization of the limitation of my human access, like, how do I say it? It was as if I had a sort of sorrow of like how limited the human being was. I had a sorrow of how many different ways the mind could move in the moment, and I reached a point in my life where I realized subconsciously I'm killing myself. And in this whole time I'm getting in this state, my beliefs were, yo man, I'm here as a, spiritual being, trying to spiritually progress and also build an advanced civilization. I had a happy mindset, but I was destroying myself behind the scenes. And I reached a moment where I could no longer live my own lives. I just stopped. I was tired. When you're powerless too long, you just get tired. Excuse me. To go through it and tell you exactly what happened. This was my first moment where I chose consciously that the system admin was real for me. First notable moment of serious acknowledgement where I started praying afterwards. I understood. I pretty much, like, because I have a knee problem, so I sometimes pray on beds or put a pillow on the ground. But for a moment, I just made a prayer, and I just, for the first time, it was kind of like a little embarrassing, but I was alone, and for a moment I was like, okay, I don't know what to do anymore. Higher power, fix this. And I don't know how to tell you, after a couple, maybe in a few months, miraculously problems began being solved. But in that whole time, I was like, okay, you're in charge. Do you understand? Like, I had that sort of relationship, right? To a point where I would see, like right now when I see people, it's like you don't just have a value in accordance to yourself, you have a value by association to what created you. That means one answer to aliens landing on Earth and being like, what are you human beings, And we'd be like, we are creations of your creator. We are existence's joy. That we are intelligent activity in space. For me, the system admin is real, but the way you access it is not that it's a relationship with another human being. You see, to me, I'm like, yo, is that the sophistication of humanity? That just to have relationships with other humans is the most advanced? To the point that God has to be a human for you to have a human relationship with it? What if it, in some sense, it's a presence of might, beyond shape, beyond anything worldly? That means they're like, what kind of God are you worshiping? A God that is not limited by its creation. And when I define God to have a personal relationship with it, right? If it's too ideological and shaped as if God is a person or an entity or something, as long I'm saying my consideration is that there is a power beyond form. What are you doing worshiping form? Seriously, like I don't understand. Like if I'm in a simulation right now, I wouldn't need to worship anything in the simulation because it's all in the simulation. So what's worthy of worship is that which is the original. And what God is a journey towards the original. Pretty much it says it actually in the Holy Quran, maintained by God, and everything returns to God. And more than you're an ultimate truth seeker, you are at being tested. You're like an intelligence agency being tested. You're being tested right now. The test is in regards to like deed, in regards to I find at least that the heart of man seeks the sacred, and when it finds the sacred, it instantly knows the sacred. I like this might sound bizarre, but I believe if human beings concentrate, they can in any moment know the difference between simulated and original. They can know, but it's all, see, when you have a relationship with a system admin, that means it's like I have a boss. If you come and ask me, you're like, hey man, hey human, do you work for someone? I'll be like, it's not someone, it's not a person, but yes, I do have a higher authority that manages me. And they're like, why do you have a higher authority? And I'm like, because to me it is way more exciting to see what the truth is than to be happy. Sorry, but I have to say it. Happiness is not the main point of life, I find. I find the main point of life for a simulated being is to just discover the original. That means it's like, we have to consider and have enough compassion to consider that, for example, 500 years from now, there's going to be androids and a sort of revolutions in nanotechnology that will make an android be exactly like a human, where when you go to, let's say, somewhere like a coffee shop and there's a human in front of you like purchasing a coffee, you don't know if it's an android or not. Now the bizarre thing is that android might also not know that it's an android. Realizes, holy shit, I'm a clone, I'm not the original. That's the same vibe you have when it comes to God for a religious person, where you're realizing, wait a minute, I'm not just the periodic table. And you slam your fist on the table. It's like, yo man, the day I realized I'm a soul, I slammed my hand on the periodic table. I slammed the periodic table. I like kung fu that shit. Yeah, excuse my language. Anyways, what I'm trying to tell you is that the notion of this, I'm telling you, is that, oh boy, you gotta not fear reality if you want to see what it is. It's the same with people too. It's like bravery is like accessing more code closer to the main operating system, right? Because if there's a system admin, I'm a user in the system, and now let's say there's mods. So for me as a Muslim, if they're like, yo man, please explain, in modern terminology, how you believe like shaitan, the devil, the cursed one. I would say that I see anything that has power in the simulation, that's in the simulation, as a mod. So billionaires, they're in the outer realms getting closer to being mods, right? But they don't understand the point of this world we're in is that you go directly to the system admin. So I'm sorry to say it, but for me, angels, prophets may be different a little. I'm sorry, this is my limited view. But prophets, peace be upon them all, for me, angels, prophets, just the other worldly agents, okay, They're all mods. They're not God. That means out of all the ideological systems I've come across, it's like one of them, the agent, the mod is saying, yo, I'm a mod, but the point of this reality is for you to notice the system admin. You know, it's like the community was developed around, centered around the system admin, not the mods. Do you understand? That means the truth of this reality is that it's not an equal place. But the issue is that when you try to make a changing system equal, your notions of equality are crushed usually. The main thing is do not fear. Why? Because the system admin is here. Seriously. You should only fear the system admin. Do you understand? That means like if you fear the consequences of what happens to you in a system, you know, you should actually fear that which is making those things happen. It's like trying to get the human species how do I say it? It's like I'm trying to get the human species to consciously in their cultural programs acknowledge the divine agency, realize that you're in a surveillance state, and to simplify it for humanity and modernity, whether you have any notion or concept of God, you will come to this. The prophets were a testament of the depth of the greatness of how you can become aware of this world. To me, the prophets are just by the definition of a prophet, okay, is to me an ultimate insight. Imagine beings so great, so worthy, that the original creator, the system admin, was on a communicating basis with them. You don't understand what that means. That's so different than like somebody beside you physically whispering something in your ear and somebody invisibly beside you whispering something in your ear. It is so different. It is that you are in the presence of a majesty. You are in the presence of the higher power. And that higher power needs to be acknowledged by the species. And the species needs to develop its collective identity. You know, we need to realize we're bees in a beehive, but it's not a beehive. It's an advanced civilization. It's a civilization that deserves to be advanced. It's as if you could do any performance, just think about this, and you had the system admin watching you. How would you perform? How would you behave in front of the King of Kings, for example? It's as if I have heard many Christians say that, you know, the Holy Spirit, the presence of Christ in the room, the presence of, you know, God in the room. But if Christ was right beside you right now, how would you behave? If the Father was here, which it has from the beginning, we are more the simulations of the original rather than we're originally simulating something. To learn from life. I can have a view. I can have a view that you're just human number da 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 da. That means that's human, you know, 1 million this code. You know, I couldn't see human beings. I've looked at humanity from so many different angles that I can even hold conversations with non-human agencies. But the point of it is that I realize the system admin is superior. It's as if you have an advanced technology, you have a mediocre technology, you have an original technology, you have a simulated technology. Okay? Simulated technology is users' technology and the mods. Do you understand what I'm saying? The mods have access to the simulation, but they are also simulated. It is only God, no other being. No, God has no partner, nothing else aside from God is the original. And if I can communicate or contact an original higher power as a simulated entity, that means it is the mercy of the original. Do you understand what I mean? In the same way where if you're in a house party and you need to use a bathroom, for example, the owner can, it's the mercy of the owner to be like, yeah, this is the bathroom. Do you know what I mean? I'm saying that when you realize that it's the mercy of the higher power that you have any relationship with that which is beyond your ego code. And all these lectures simply begin because I look at humanity and look at the future, and my heart looks at God and my mind looks forward. We're talking about how the future generations will be superior to us. And we need to prepare them to be superior to us. If in like 20 years everything is still the same, failure alarm, like we gotta hear the alarms everywhere. Because I am human, I am responsible to alert my species. Oh humans, you're in a place where you have to notice that which is beyond you and that which is below you. For example, compared to an ant, you are a superior being. But compared to God, you are an ant. Now, imagine a human wants to explain human politics to the ant. If the ant thinks it can understand the human, it's wrong. Automatically wrong. Unless it's the will of the relationship would be different because man didn't create the ant. But if I created a character in a video game, I would control its destiny. You see, I'm just trying to tell you that you can be the biggest narcissist, you can be the most egotistical person, you can have the most savage sense of self, but deep down, you cannot ignore that you are not the higher power. So it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge that we are simply a position in reality. And we can have a relationship with the higher power. It's like you can't act like someone and talk to them. Do you understand what I mean? That means it's like the moment is important. Why? Because of what's in it. Sometimes, to be honest with you, I feel like I have like my eyes that are looking through my eyes. Like I have access to my biological sight. But I can tell you there's moments where my eyelids close and I start moving behind my eyes. And how I move, how I have moved behind my eyes, it's kind of like a wind that's fast forwarding between the alleys of history. You understand? Between like the pillars of history. That means I don't have access to flight. Like in front of my eyes, I can't fly. But behind my eyes, I can't tell you how many times I have looked at Earth from where the clouds are. Because behind my eyes, it's a space left to what appears. And so the species must ask, it's like, imagine we have an ego. Oh my God, what an incredible example. Imagine imagine me chugging a bottle of water, then imagine imagine the ego of your species. I want you for a moment to imagine the arrogance of your species. Not that your arrogance, but your species. I want you actually for a moment, like I'm trying to get you close to what I'm seeing behind my eyes. I want you to imagine how many human beings will look at Earth, walk on this Earth in the future. And I want you to imagine you're, in some sense, like a wind tunneling through their eyes. See, this reality is merciful. God was merciful. God's like, all right, human being, you're going to be in the present, but I'm going to give you memory, so you're going to access the past. But I'm also going to give you imagination, because you're obviously going to get excited about your future. Oh my God. Sorry guys, I'm getting distracted. Plan to see. I asked AI what passages from the whole explain why actually testing man. Okay. Now hopefully these are accurate, but I believe they can be. That's why I'm reading it. So these are things that I'm spending my whole life to understand these passages. But right now I'm going to read for you passages from the Holy Quran, which AI has prepared that suggests why God is testing man. And Rabbil Fairly, I'm trying to do my best here. Surah Al-Baqarah. And to me, guys, the Quran is like source code to the simulation, directly from the system admin. Anyways, so as someone just wondering like, okay, I'm inside a simulation, there's a system admin. What is the system admin testing me for? What is the test about? So passage 2 155-157, Surah Al-Baqarah, which, if I remember correctly, is the longest surah in the Holy Quran. And okay, so now I will read it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits. But give good tidings to the patient, who, when disaster strikes them, say, indeed we belong to Allah, and indeed to Him we will return. Those are the ones upon whom are blessings from their Lord and mercy. And it is those who are the rightly guided. Now, very respectfully, I'm a limited human being. Or here, I'll read what ChatGPT has said, and then I'll tell you my view on it. Explanation: God tests people with hardship to develop patience, sabr, spiritual resilience, and trust in Him. The true reward is not worldly ease, but divine mercy and guidance. This passage means those who are patient can notice the system admin. And those who, whenever anything happens in this life, they're like, indeed, we belong to the system admin, and indeed to the system admin we will return. It's like a simulated being having a simulated conflict, something happening in the simulation, and it's saying everything belongs, we all belong, this whole simulation belongs to the system admin, and everything returns to the system admin. The system admin's got this. It's like faith in an original power as a simulated being. Yeah, so I read this. Then we go to Surah Al-Ankabut. Ankabut, if I remember correctly, means spider. So this surah is titled The Spider. Excuse me. Passage 29 and then 2-3. Do the people think, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, do the people think that they will be left to say, we believe and they will not be tested? But we have certainly tested those before them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will surely make evident those who are truthful, and He will surely make evident the liars. That means in front of the system admin, you can't fake it. All those people faking it to make it, because you're dealing with humans. When you deal with a higher power, there is no faking or making it. Everything is logged, everything is visible to the system admin. All your activity in the system is visible to the system admin. That means regardless of your faith, you're in an advanced system being administered by the most advanced. The next one, Surah Al-Mulk, passage 67-2. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. It says He in brackets. It's pointing to the God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He who created death and life to test you, as to, in brackets, as to which of you is best indeed. And He is the exalted in might, the forgiving. It's as if like, yo, you've all come here, just like a video game. When people play a video game, they've all logged into the same server as users, as players. And it's saying, we have created death and life. That means we've created this system to test you, to see which of you is best indeed. Your best deed is based on your best awareness to the system. Here it says the explanation. AI says it. Life and death themselves are a test of actions, not who lives long or or games. Surah Al-Insan, passage 76-2. If I remember correctly, insan means human. So this surah is titled the human. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Indeed, we created man from a drop of mingled sperm so that we may test him, and we made him hearing and seeing. By the way, guys, when it's written here in the Holy Quran, the term we, in the Arabic language, actually we is a superior solo acknowledgement. I don't know how to explain it. We need someone who's a traditional to explain it, but there is an explanation. It's singular, so it's just one singular God beyond all form that tries to limit it. So it's as if, like, yeah, we created you from the small into this advanced thing. So it says, AI explains it as, from creation itself, the human being is designed for testing. God gives faculties, hearing, sight, intellect, so we may use them wisely in our moral journey. Then we go to Surah Al-Kahf, passage 18, number 7. Al-Kahf, if I remember correctly, means the cow, but I could be wrong. And guys, this, what I'm reading for you, don't have any opinions on the sentence. Do you have opinion? It could lead to something unnecessary. Please, I'll read it. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Indeed, we have made that which is on the earth adornment fit, that we may test them as to which of them is best indeed. Let me tell you, religion, because it's source code, you can't joke around with it. I'm telling you, because if you do, that means you're treating like the original as the simulated, that your simulations will break first. So it's very important, because for me the Holy Quran is like this mysterious advanced technology that, based on God's mercy and will, one can access its true depths. Then we go to the next passage in the Holy Quran that is pointing to why the system admin is testing those in the system. Surah Al-Hadid, 57, passage 57, 20. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Know that the life of this world is but amusement and diversion and adornment and boasting among you and competition in increase of wealth and children. But what is the worldly life except the enjoyment of delusion? Except EXCEPT. That means it's saying no, like it's like the source code is saying, yo, human, know that and boasting. That means it's simulations, like showing off in front of simulations, simulating in front of other simulations. But it's saying, but what is the worldly life except the enjoyment of delusion? Like that's so deep. Delusion means hollow. Delusion means there is value in that perception. All right, guys. And then I've asked AI, what phrases explain deeply the true nature of reality in the Quran? In the Holy Quran. A'udhu billahi shaitan rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm going to read this for you. It's from Surah Al-Imran, passage 3, 185. Every soul will taste death, and you will only be given your full compensation on the day of resurrection. So whoever is drawn away from the fire and admitted to paradise has attained success. And what is the life of this world except the enjoyment of delusion? So we all will exit the system. You will be compensated for everything. You will be fully compensated for everything you've done here. And whoever is drawn away from the fire and admitted to paradise has attained success. Any of the simulated beings here that avoid the simulation and rather go to the depths of the system admin, that means those who notice the system admin, it's as if you tell me, what is success in this world for a simulated being? To notice the original power. Here it's saying, AI is giving an explanation. Death is unavoidable truth. Life is a test, not the final reality. The real life is the afterlife. This one is a passing illusion. Then we go to the next. And forgive me, guys, I'm not Arab, but I'm doing my best to share here. Passage 6, number 32. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And the worldly life is not but amusement and diversion, but the home of the hereafter is best for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So will you not use reason? It's like they're saying, yo, this worldly life is a simulation. If you just pay attention to the simulation, you've been diverted from the original. But the home of the hereafter, where everything's going after every soul has tasted death, and every soul has transitioned, has gone from here. But the home of the hereafter is the best for those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the main event, not where we are right now. And it's saying like, yo, you're in a simulation, there's a system admin. Like, notice the system admin, have a relationship with the system admin, realize your species is a creation of the system admin, help your species have its most advanced in the presence of the system admin, which is the most advanced expression. And it says, so will you not use reason. That means the reason has to engage a scenario. And the scenario is like, okay, if this world was like an illusion, then what am I doing, like trying to succeed in an illusion? What is the main thing happening here? Like that mystery hits you, right? Finds you. It's to notice the higher power. It's like you're working for a company, you've never met the owner. Now, do you want to go talk to the managers, or do you want to go directly speak to the owner of the company about your problem? That religion is in some sense being like the system. Inside the system, it's a simulating game. Everything's being simulated into value. They're like, yo, man, that person speaks brilliantly. Yeah, it's simulated, it's rhythmic. Reality is, honestly, like, what do you think I'm doing right now? I'm simulating words into your ears. Anyways, let's keep going. What I mean by that is that we are in a simulation. Anything I do in the simulation, it's a simulated act. You hearing me and me communicating both are simulated, being simulated in meaning. We go to Surah Al-Hadid, passage 57:3. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He is the first and the last, the manifest and the hidden, and he is of all things knowing. So this source code is saying the system admin knows what's up. Do you? Here AI explains it. God surrounds all dimensions of time and space. Nothing escapes his knowledge. Reality is not just material, it is deeply rooted in the unseen. As a Muslim, if they ask you, "Are you spiritual?" the honest answer is that in the source code it says that the soul is the secret of God. That means you can never know it. You can know you're being it, like you can feel it as in a format. But those people who are like, "Yo, man, I know my soul." Like, let me tell you, the soul is not the main point. That's why I can't identify as spiritual anymore. Somebody could come and tell me, "Yo, man, I had this spiritual experience, like the most wonderful spiritual experience." And I'll be like, "Okay, what's the big deal? You found yourself in a synchronized moment. Okay, so what? What does it mean?" And the answer is that you either claim the value or you acknowledge it as the system's relationship with you, which is the system admin's will. You see, it's like, as a human being, I've noticed I'm not the higher power, so the higher power is important for me. So I'm not that important for myself to be like, "Yo, what are my spiritual experiences?" Because it's about advancement. Do you understand? Every person is moving, they're moving in accordance to purpose. Anyways, guys, I'm going to keep going. Surah Al-Zalzala. Al-Zalzala. Yes, sorry, guys, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly. Passage 99, number 6-8. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That day the people will depart separated into categories to be shown the result of their deeds. So whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it, and whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. AI explains it here. Reality includes full accountability. Every action, no matter how small, is part of the true record. The illusion is thinking that actions don't matter. We go to Surah Al-Anbiya. This is so beautiful to listen to, by the way. Passage 21, number 16. And we, astaghfirullah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And we did not create the heaven and the earth and whatever is between them in play. I'll read that again. And we did not create the heaven and the earth and whatever is in between them in play. Here AI explains it. The cosmos has a purpose. It's not random. Life, the universe, and every moment are intentional, meaningful, and structured for a divine purpose. It means your human activity has a meaning to that which is beyond you. That's not you. That means you might not realize it, but you have a value and meaning to those around you by just being here. We go to Surah Yunus, passage 10, number 20. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Say the unseen belongs only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So wait. Indeed, I am with you among those who wait. Do you understand why you wait? Because you have accepted deep down that you are not the one in charge of what happens to the world. Like, there was a time where I thought to myself, like, yo, what if I became like the most like powerful, influential politician and I reassembled the whole global political system, right? I just thought that. And then I was like, yo, would I want to live in my own system? And I was like, nah, man, you know, I've already given that talk. Patience is key. Anyways, AI explains this passage. Human knowledge is limited True reality includes the unseen. In Arabic, it's called al-ghaib, which only God fully knows. What we see is just a sliver. Then we have Surah Al-Alaq. Yeah, I'm trying my best to pronounce it. Passage 96, number 8. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent and the most merciful. So the passage says, indeed, to your Lord is the return. Do you understand what that means? That means you all have an appointment with the originator of the system you're being reviewed in. It's a very fascinating idea for me. It's like, yo, man, we had global like economic crisis and pandemics, but at the same time, like the species needs to figure out, like, okay, we're all gonna meet the originator of the simulation. We're all in this world that after this life we're going to meet the host, but we're not going empty-handed. Our hands will be filled with the deeds that we did while we were here. AI explains this as no matter what path we take in this life, we're returning to the source. This is the ultimate truth. So while you're in the simulation, you can have a relationship with the source. Surah Al-Balad, passage 90, number 4. Indeed, we have created Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Indeed, we have created man into, in brackets, a life of struggle. AI explains this as hardship is not a flaw in the system, it's built into it. Life is meant to challenge, refine, and direct you toward higher awareness. Here, but I'll add to that higher awareness of the system admin. Anyways, guys, I finished it here. I've been honestly having some few phone calls in the background. I need to end this off here, but there is more to this. I didn't get to speak about the world peace prototype idea. But anyways, I'll cover that next episode. Thank you for listening. And Rabbil Firli, may God forgive us for our mistakes, those we know and those we don't know that we've made. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to Lord of the worlds. Everything belongs to the system admin. It's okay to acknowledge that. Because the nature of reality is more important than what we want it to like feel or be to us. You know, somebody in the chat section said, so be it. I would say, so it is. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Have a great day.